Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Twilley. I'm the director of the Women's Business Center here at Maryland Capital Enterprises. And joining us today is our guest speaker, Jim Peterson, who is vice president at M&T Bank. And Jim does a lot of other classes for us as well. Woo woo! And we love Jim and appreciate him and his time. So just to give you a little bit of information about MCE and what we do, we offer free business consulting. We offer training classes such as this. Most of our classes are free. We offer marketing assistance. We also do micro and small business loans. So if we can be of assistance in any way, we service the entire Eastern Shore of Maryland, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and Anne Arundel County. And joining us today is also the Baltimore Metro Women's Business Center out of Morgan State University. And we have Christina here. So I'll let Jim go ahead and get started.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Lisa. Happy to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to talk today about how to create a good executive summary. So if you give me 1 second, I'm going to share my screen and we can get started. All right, does that look good to everybody?
Yep.
Great. All right, let's move on to our agenda. And this is what we're going to do today. So we're going to start off, we have a small group, so I'm going to ask each of you to do a brief introduction so that as I move through my slides, I can kind of relate what I'm talking about to your business, hopefully. And if you have any questions, just stop me and say, hey, listen, I don't understand, or what do you mean by that? Or if you have some other questions, just let me know. We got plenty of time. I'm not going to wow you with my fancy slides. Trust me, they're not that great. This is all about you and getting the information that you need. So as I go through these, if you have any questions, please let me know and we'll discuss. All right, so we're going to start with introductions. I'm going to explain what an executive summary is. We're going to talk about the hook, the problem, your solution, why you, what is your ask, what is your promise. Then we'll review everything we talked about. I'll take any additional questions, and then there's a test because there's always a test. All right, so let's start with introductions. Who do we have on the line today in our small group?
I think this is going to be a resource partner training.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I see Danielle too. Danielle is part of our group. But yeah, thanks, Jim. This is going to be a trainer today.
That's fine. That works. That works.
Of course, you got Ann, and I'll be using this information. We do a Being an Entrepreneur FEM style. It's a basics of entrepreneurship where we go over, all the core and essential things that an entrepreneur should know. And there's a teeny piece about the business plan. So
okay.
I'll mention some.
Well, this is the most important part. And the reason why I do this is because people don't spend enough time on this, right? As somebody who reads a lot of business plans, all I really want to see is this. This is going to let me know if I want to see the rest of the business plan, right? So people really need to take some time and create a good executive summary because this is your intro, and I'll explain exactly how that works, but people don't spend enough time on this. So this is great that I can share this with you guys. You can share it with the people that you guys come in contact with because people need to do better when it comes to executive summaries. All right, so Danielle's one of us. Mm-hmm. So so there's no business there, Danielle, or
no. I'm one of you all because of you all, right? So my beautiful business has been able to grow because of partnerships and opportunities such as this to convene and meet with you all. So I'd love to tell you a little bit more about Unboxing Change. So as I said, yes, I'm Danielle Frisbee, and my business is Unboxing Change. We train students in grades pre-K through college to create community community impact events that are centered around education, activism, and entrepreneurship. So basically, student planners are trained to use impact events as tools for business development with a strategic focus in marketing, sales, and service.
Many people
Awesome.
assume
And where are you located, Danielle?
So I am located currently in Baltimore County, Maryland, looking now for a place to expand, actually. So it's wonderful that you were talking about some other opportunities about where, where business can go. But yeah, so I'm located in Baltimore County. I do a lot of business in Baltimore County and Baltimore City by way of the schools and universities that we are in partnership with.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So we can talk, get my contact information, and we could talk about finding you a location as well.
Amen. Yes. Okay.
We have a lot of contacts. M&T Bank is connected to everyone.
Okay. Perfect. Well, yes. Well, let's get ready for an executive summary so that can make sense.
Great. Thanks for joining.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is an executive summary? So the executive summary is just like the foreword to a book, right? Now, a lot of people don't explain it that way. If you get your typical business plan template, executive summary just says summarize what's in the business plan. And that's cool. I mean, it needs to do that. And I'm going to show you how you do that as we go through the slides today. But it's more than that, because it's the first thing after the content, the table of content that people are going to read. And just like the foreword of a book, it needs to entice the reader to continue reading, right? There's a reason why people have fancy book covers. There's a reason why well-known authors have other people write the forewords for their books, right? Because they want people to read the rest. They want to say, wow, this person is awesome. I need to see what they have to say, right? Or there are some exciting things that you give them in that intro that makes them want to read the rest. And as somebody who reads a lot of business plans, some of these business plans are 30, 40, 50 pages long, right? You have to really want to read a 40-page business plan. All right, so what I read most, and most people who read business plans, they'll tell you, they're going to read your executive summary. If you can't get them in the executive summary, they're not going to read the rest. They're going to put it in that pile of, I'll get to it one day, right? And they may not get to it. So your executive summary is critical. So you want to make sure that in your executive summary, you have what's impressive, what's either impressive about you, or what's impressive about your team, or what's impressive about your numbers. Maybe you're selling like crazy. Maybe your market is huge, right? Maybe you got the best team. All of these things need to be in your executive summary. And it needs to also say exactly how you run your company, how your company is formed, what are you going after, and what do you need? One of the most important things we're going to talk about today is your ask. I've read millions of, not millions, I've read a whole lot of business plans. I have never counted them, but there's a lot. And from time to time, I come across business plans that never get to an ask. I'll read the whole thing and don't know what they want, right? So your business plan is for something. There's an ask. Do you need a place to work? Do you need money? Are you looking for a grant? Maybe you're looking for a partnership. There's different reasons why you write a business plan, and your executive summary sums all that up. A lot of people tell you to write the executive summary last, and I agree with that, but you just want to make sure that when you write it, you have these things that we're going to talk about today in there. All right, so any questions on executive summaries?
No, not so far.
Great, thank you. So right now we're going to talk about the hook. Number one is the hook, right? Again, this is supposed to get people to want to read your executive summary and read the rest of your business plan. So you need a hook. Like I talked about, the cover of the book is going to make people want to pick it up. So if you have a plain, look like a lunch bag covered book with black writing on it, I mean, that's plain and ordinary, and more than likely, if it's sitting next to a book with a fancy cover and a nice picture and some exciting words, you're more likely to grab the one that's a little more exciting, right? So your executive summary needs to come right out of the box with a hook. Something like, you know, whatever it is that's exciting about you. If you just graduated from Yale, you might want to start with graduate from Yale creates the next best thing, right? Something to get people excited and say, wow, you know, wow, let me read that. You know, if your market again is large, you know, 100,000 people likes what this business is doing, right? 100,000 units sold last year, something, get them hooked. Right? You want them to read the rest of your executive summary, and then your executive summary needs to get them to read the rest of the business plan, right? So it's very important that you have some kind of hook, and depending on your business, you know, if you're Danielle, you're working with young people, you could say, you know, we help. You could start with we help 150 young people have impact in their community. Right? That's going to make people say, oh, wow, young people.
Starting
Let me
with
see
the
what they're
impact.
talking about here, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
see? So whatever, maybe it's you, you know, maybe you come from the area, you know, a woman who comes from the Baltimore area creates this program and is helping young people, you know, something to hook them, right?
Mhm.
So you get how that works. Right now, there's no reason, there's no real good reason to have a business that's not solving a problem, right? We have a lot of businesses out here that aren't solving problems, but they're not sustainable. They have to keep reinventing themselves. I mean, if you think about the folks, I'm a little old, but you might not be able to relate to this, but there was a time when somebody sold a pet rock, right? So there's a bunch of businesses out there that are what I call fads. So it can happen, but these aren't sustainable. You have to keep looking for a new fad, right? You can have something that's new and shiny and valuable, and they'll last for a minute, but sooner or later there's going to be something else that's newer and shinier, right? Because you're not solving a problem. You know, not having a pet rock is not a problem. There's not a whole lot of people who are saying, wait a minute, you know, my life isn't complete because I don't have a rock to sit on my desk. Right. So you want to solve a problem. You want to make sure that your business is solving a problem. There are restaurants because people need to eat. There are doctors because people need care. There are cars because people need transportation. So you want to make sure you're solving a problem, and your executive summary must clearly explain what problem are you solving, right? So for every problem, there's a solution, and that's you and your business, your service or the product that you created, whatever you're doing needs to be the solution to the problem. The bigger the problem, the better, because that means that, you know, your solution is going to be needed by more people, right? If there's a little problem and you get a small solution, that's good too if the market is large enough. But the bigger the problem, the better. So your solution is how are you going to solve this problem? And then you have to define why is your solution better than anyone else's? Because certainly if it's a big problem, then there's going to be a lot of people trying to solve that problem. And you have to show why your solution is better than anyone else's solution. Or at least that your solution can get enough of the solution pie to be sustainable, right? There could be a whole lot of people in this space. If you think about the fast food industry, right? People need to eat, people need food. There's a lot of fast food establishments, right? But there's enough for everybody. There's a lot of people who need to eat. So you don't want to say, well, McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King are already in that space, so it doesn't make sense for me to open up a fast food place. No, there's plenty of people. There's plenty of people to eat. So if the market's large enough, you just have to show how you can cut a piece that's big enough for you. Right? So that makes sense?
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, that
So
totally makes
again,
sense.
are any questions there?
I have a question. You may get to it in that part of this. Where does research and statistics play? Should we introduce that up front in the solution? I mean, in the problem part and the solution, or is there? I'm looking to see on your outline. Is there somewhere else that should be listed?
Yeah, that's the meat, right? That's inside the business plan, right? So what you want to do is you want to, when we get to what your solution is in here, you might want to talk about when you talk about how you're going to solve your problem. If it points to people need to eat, and there's so many people. Say your target market is Baltimore City. There's so many people in Baltimore City. You might want to reference some data within your plan that shows how many people there are. So maybe you went to the Census Bureau and you found statistics that show how many people are in Baltimore. You might want to reference that chart, maybe in parentheses, right? People need to eat, that's a big problem. In parentheses, see chart number 3 in my business plan on page 23. Right? You don't want the meat and potatoes in this part. This is an overview. Executive summary is the overview. But you can reference the more detail, maybe the charts and the numbers and where you did the research and how you got all that within your business plan.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And in the executive summary, we're doing 30,000 feet.
Okay. One other question, and not
Sure.
related to the executive summary, but you mentioned the executive summary, the way it should read should be exciting, should be, sort of like a preview, that sort of thing. And you talked about a book cover. So this is in relation to the whole book plan. Are people
Yep.
doing graphic covers to their book plan? To their did I say book plan? I meant
Business
business plan. Forgive me.
Absolutely.
Are people doing that?
Absolutely.
I certainly, in proposal writing, I had begun to advise people to put, graphs and charts and pictures and stuff in proposals now, because that's what they want to see, because
Yeah.
proposals are so dry. But in the business plan, the cover, do you recommend that it be something like, spicy, or just that's too distracting?
I do. Now that's me, right? It's too easy to do it, to not do it, right? It's too easy to grab a nice font, grab a nice picture, use a colored cover or something, right? It's too easy to not do it. And trust me, we, when I say we, I mean people who read a lot of business plans. You have these piles of business plans or files on your computer, right? It's nice to see something different, right? When you're flipping through these things, either on your computer or on your desk, it's nice to grab something that's like, this is different.
Right.
Let me see what this is all about.
Right.
I agree, Jim.
Yeah.
We read black and white print all day long,
Right.
Mhm.
right? It's refreshing to grab something that's exciting, something with some flowers and some color on it, right?
Right.
Or something with a nice picture. So
The human
I say
side.
it's too easy not to. And I've seen some recently in the past few months, I've seen some business plans that have come through that are like, these young folks are really creative. I'm going to say that. I've seen some video business plans. I've seen some business plans. This one young man sent me a business plan, looked like a movie. It looked like something you would buy tickets to, right? Music and everything. And that's exciting for me. We're sitting behind the desk all day long reading these things. I love to see stuff like that. So get a little creative with it. Not too creative that it's distracting. You got to walk that line, right? Some people want to use a font that's so fancy that it's hard to read. Those are annoying. Don't do that. Your typeset should be something that's easy to read. But at the same time, spruce it up if you can, because people are more apt to read it.
Good.
That answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. So what's next is the opportunity, right? What is the opportunity? I talked about market size. Is the opportunity how big the market is? Are there 50 million people in your target market? That's exciting. People want to see, hey, how you gonna serve those people? That's a huge market, right? So market size could be your opportunity. Working in a particular area could be your opportunity. Coming off a pandemic, if you're doing something like health and wellness, I know the Women's Center just recently did did a workshop on mental health and wellness, and it was well attended because of the opportunity. Right now, people need that. So if your opportunity is there, you want to express that in your executive summary. Look, we just came off a pandemic. People need mental health and wellness, and that's what we do. And here's why we're good at doing it. Right? That's your executive summary. That's what you're going to get into. The opportunity could be, like I said, location. So if you think about Baltimore City, maybe Harlem Park, right? There's a lot of development going on in Harlem Park and many other, East Side, West Side. There's a lot of areas in the city that people are buying these vacant houses and they're developing them, right? That's opportunity. You look around and there's plenty of opportunity. If you're a redeveloper or a developer or a rehab person, if that's what you do, there's a lot of opportunity. So you want to express what that opportunity is because everybody can't see. It may be obvious to you. If you grew up in an area like Harlem Park and you're seeing these vacant houses all day long, it might be obvious to you. But when you get out of your own circle, it may not be so obvious to people. So you need to explain exactly what that is and why the opportunity is what it is, right? Because you can see that what has happened in other areas. If we were to redevelop this area, it could become like some of the other areas in Baltimore that are doing much better these days, right? So you want to explain what the opportunity is, how big a market it is, what the numbers are, more people are buying online, so maybe you sell an online product. That's an opportunity. And again, like the question that Ann asked, you can refer to the section in your business plan where you can talk about exactly what the numbers are, where you got those numbers from, what they are, what they mean, and how you're going to address them. All right, all in your executive summary. So next is your business model. Now, if you missed it, we actually did a workshop on business model canvases. Right, so you need to decide what kind of business model you're going to have. Now, the 4 traditional types are B2C, business to consumer, B2B, business to business, consumer to business, C2B, or C2C, consumer to consumer. So you're going to decide what kind of business model you have. If you need some help with this, I think we recorded it, so maybe you can go on the Women's Business Center website and look that up. If not, you can wait till we do it again. And we could, you can learn a lot more about that. Reach out to us. If we need to reschedule it, we'll reschedule it, do it again. That's okay. But you need to make it clear how your business is going to operate, right? A business model is how a business creates and delivers value to its customers, right? Value, right? A lot of people will tell you about products and services. It's value. What people want to buy, what people pay for is value. What value are you giving to them? And your business model will show, if you do a canvas in one page, it'll show you exactly how you create value for your customers. Well, who your partners are, where you're getting your product. These things are very easily seen if you do a business model canvas. And the most important part of the business model canvas is your value proposition, right? Because you're going to talk about how you innovate, how you do, what you add to the raw materials that you're getting, and how you make it valuable to your customer. Right, so I'll show you an example of what a business model canvas is, and we went through this again in our workshop. So this is Maria's lemonade stand. So if you look at this business model canvas, over here you have key partners. Who's the key partner for this lemonade stand? Municipalities. Because as you can see, her customer segment are people who walk through the park. So Maria set up her lemonade stand in the park. So people who walk through the park visitors, is her customer segment, right? So somewhere in her business plan, she's going to say how many people come through that park every day. She's going to note Maybe she's got a chart from the Census Bureau or from the park commissions or something that says how many people comes through that park every day, every week, every month, every year. So that's her target audience, park visitors. Her key partners are municipalities. She can partner with them because they govern the park. All right, so she can go to as many parks as she needs, talk to the people in the municipalities and say, hey, listen, do you mind me setting up here? What are the fees, right? Get my permit, etc. Her key activities are making lemonade, marketing, and selling, right? Real simple. And I did this on purpose. I showed this example of a lemonade stand because it looks real simple, but for every business, it can be just as simple, right? You break it down to the key activities, right? We're gonna teach young people to have impact in their community, right? Real simple. And then we got to let people know that we're doing it. That's marketing. And then we're looking for partners. So we got to sell the partners on it, right? So
Yeah.
3, 4 things. Keep it real simple. Her key resources are ingredients, her salespeople, and her booth, right? More than likely, she's her salespeople, right? So she needs to get the ingredients from somewhere, she needs to sell, and she needs a booth to work out of. And her value proposition is cold, tasty lemonade on the go. Again, it sounds real simple, right? But it says so much. Because she's not just selling lemonade. Again, we talk about value. This is a value proposition. It's not a product. It doesn't say, well, what are you selling to your customers? It's what's your value proposition? You know, what's great about what you're doing for your customer? She's selling cold, tasty lemonade on the go, right? So you're getting all that in a cup of lemonade. It's cold, it's tasty, and it's on the go. You can pick it up and keep it moving, right? So that's her value proposition. You need to figure out what your value proposition is. And then you have customer relationships. You have the channels. How are you going to get what you're providing to the people you're providing it to? So the way that Maria's doing it, or I guess they mixed that up, Kelly's Lemonade, is through her booth and through her website, right? So that's your channels, how you're getting what you're offering to the target audience. We talked about her customer segments, our park visitors, her revenue streams. How is she making money? She's making money through lemonade sales and tips. And I'm sure that, if we take a little time, you could probably add a few revenue streams. If she decided to have t-shirts, she could probably put t-shirts down here. Maybe you can buy a special cup to put her lemonade in. So rather than having a disposable cup, you might want to pitch in another $3 and get a special cup, right? So these could be additional revenue streams. And then her cost structure. What is it costing her to do what she does? Is she paying for these flyers? I talked about the municipalities being able to pay, having to pay for a permit, right? So that should be down here in cost structures. The salary she's paying her salespeople, if it's not herself, like we talked about, and then whatever it costs her for her equipment, the lemon squeezer or whatever, the cups, straws, napkins, etc. All right, so that's your business model canvas in a nutshell. And again, that doesn't necessarily have to be in your executive summary, but it should be somewhere in your business plan that you can refer to, right? You can say, see business model canvas on page 6, chart number 3, or something to that effect, all right? So any questions there on business model canvases or business model itself?
No questions.
All right.
Yeah, I just like this canvas. I haven't seen a canvas like this before. And I really liked how you pointed out the key activities, and I wrote those down for myself to focus on as well in reference to students making impact. Thank you.
Awesome. This is good stuff.
After you, Christine, I have a question.
Okay, if you could you repeat the different types of business models that there are?
Yeah, so that's going to be B2C, business to consumer. Then there's B2B, which is business to business. Then there's C to B, consumer to business. And then there's C to C, consumer to consumer. Right? So if you're baking cakes out of your house and you're selling to your neighbors, that's C to C. Right? They may be selling something to you, you're selling to them. You know, it happens at the farmer's market all the time. People selling to each other, consumers selling to consumers. Right? If you're selling your cakes or whatever you're baking to businesses, you're selling to Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, that's consumer to business. If University of Maryland is selling something to you, that's business to consumer. All right, so you see how that works?
Yes, thank you.
All right, and that's for traditional. Now, there's hundreds of them, right? You can, you know, Amazon has flipped this whole thing on its head. You could be selling to just wholesalers online. You could be selling to distributors. You know, there's more, but the traditional four are what I just explained.
My two questions, one was, I almost forgot. Okay, so the Canva,
Yes.
in my mind, and we got to get you to do it again for us, but in my mind, it's like a one-sheeter with all of the different things that you said are important to consider. And when you present it to a banker or to an investor or to whomever, it's sort of like a fact sheet or a capability statement, kind of like It's all on one sheet. So my question is, when you submit a more extensive business plan with all of the narrative and the executive summary, are we doing both? Like, are you putting that Canva piece in your larger, maybe 5-10 page document? Or
in my opinion, I think you should.
Okay.
I think you should, because you want to make sure you get every opportunity to reach folks as you can.
Okay.
And
So it's
you
like
and
a
I both know
snapshot.
there are going to be some people who that's all they're going to look at, right? They're going to flip through and look for that and say, oh, I can see what they're doing. And they're either interested or they're not.
Okay.
Right? Some are just going to look for your executive summary. And they're going to say, all right, I got it. You know, they're either interested or they're not. And you want every opportunity to make them keep reading.
Okay. All right. Good.
All right. So yeah, in my opinion, you should put that in there somewhere.
Okay. My second question is, do you well, I know you can't really endorse, but there are a lot of tools, business planning tools like Live Plan. There used to be a long time ago, Business Plan Pro. They have Growth Wheel.
Yeah.
Are there any that you recommend? Well, I know you can't endorse. What do you think about those?
I can't endorse, but what I recommend is whatever's best for you, right? If you need a little hand holding, then you want to use one of those programs. There's several online, and the ones you mentioned, you know, if you need somebody to walk you through or something to walk you through it, great. There's a bunch of templates also that you can get that won't walk you through it. It'll tell you what those sections are, and it's up to you to figure it out. If you're creative enough to do that on your own, my recommendation is do what works for you. All right. I haven't seen one that's, you know, that I could say, look, don't use that one, because they just don't do it right. A business plan is a business plan. And what I try to share with people is some do's and don'ts on what people who read business plans all the time really want to see, or what's important to us.
Okay.
All right. Now, what I like to tell people is that nobody wants to read a 50-page business plan. So make it as concise as you can. Make a great executive summary, make it attractive, make it as exciting as you can, as exciting as a business plan can be, right? It's still a business plan. It still comes down to a bunch of numbers, right? Words and numbers. But yeah, if a program helps you, great. I really like the SCORE business plan. I've been using that for years. Because it has, and this is what I recommend. If somebody asks me, do you have a business plan template? I'm going to send you the one that SCORE has, right? Because it has in the margin, it has all the steps and directions in it. So if you know how to run through a business plan, you can do it on your own. But if you need help, right over in the margin, it's going to tell you, all right, in your executive summary, this is what you need to include. All right, in your business model, this is what that means, and this is what you need to put in there. So it's kind of got a guide built in.
Okay. That sounds good.
All
That
right.
sounds good. I tell people, you don't want to write a 50-page business plan. What makes you think somebody wants to read it? Nobody wants to read
You're
that.
exactly right. You're exactly right. Now, if you present somebody with a 10, 12-page business plan and they need more information, they'll ask you.
Right.
Right? That's a good thing. That's another opportunity for you to interact with them. That's another opportunity for you to sell them on you and your business. Right? You give them what they need, but you also let them know, like I said along the way, look, we have this information if you need it. I'd be happy to send it to you if you need it, but you give them just what they need in the front, reference what's in the middle in terms of numbers and references. And if they need anything else, they're going to call you and say, hey, I really like what you sent. I want to know more about this or that. All right. And now you got it. Now you got it. So you can always send more information. So, but you don't want to send too much because that might scare some people away. All right. So next we're going to talk about why you, right? What makes you special? So there's a problem. You've come up with a solution. Why are you uniquely qualified to implement that solution? Right? Again, we said if the problem is big enough, there's going to be a lot of people trying to solve that problem. So why you, or why your team? What makes you so special that you should be the one, or I should invest in you and your team to be the one to solve this problem? If you're opening up a restaurant, what's special about you? There's a bunch of restaurants. We just talked about tons of fast foods. There's tons of restaurants. What's so special about your restaurant? Is there something special about your chef? Did your chef study somewhere that's impressive? Have you run restaurants all your life? Have you trained certain place? So in the why you want to express, what's so special about you or your business to make somebody want to either invest in you or borrow money. Again, whatever your ask is. Are you borrowing money? Do you need a partner? We talked about the opportunity. Is the opportunity so great that somebody needs to invest in you because you're special? You've been doing this the longest. You have a lot of experience or education or something. So you need to share why you or your team, right? What's great about you. And in sharing why you, now you need to get to what your ask is, right? What are you asking for? I mentioned earlier that sometimes I read a whole business plan and don't know what the ask is. I don't know if they want money. I don't know if they want me to introduce them to somebody. I don't know if they're looking for a partner, if they're looking for an investor, if they're looking for a loan, or do they want a grant? You have to be very clear what your ask is and specific, right? If you need money, how much money do you need? And then tell me what you're going to do with it. And then tell me how you're going to pay it back, right? Be very specific. Some people write business plans with executive summaries to get a partner, right? You want to share how great the opportunity is and what you have envisioned to solve the problem, because you need a partner and you want that partner to understand it because they may bring something special. Again, in that why you, that partner that you're trying to get is bringing something special to the team that you think you need to be the person to get the funds to move this business forward. All right, so whatever you're proposing, you got to have an ask and you have to be very clear. I'm looking for a grant of $100,000. We're pre-revenue. We're not in position to pay a loan back right now, but if we had a grant, we can reach these 100 million people with our product. right? Very clear, very specific, so that the person reading it knows exactly what your ask is, right? You don't want them guessing. You want to be very clear and very specific. All right, excuse me. And then after your ask and you're very clear with your ask, you want to be clear on what your promise is, right? If you give me a loan of $100,000, I promise to pay you back, and here's how. We're going to reach so many people. My margins are whatever the margins are, and you can reference your chart within the business plan that's going to show exactly what your cash flow is and where your margins are and how much money you're going to make. And you can let them know that I'll be able to pay you back. All right, so if you're asking for a loan, you can say, I'm going to pay the loan back. You want to be very clear in how much, and how often, and for how long, right? So you can say, listen, we're going to use our margins as the money we make. So I'm going to be able to pay you $5,000 every month for 60 months, right? Very clear. This is how you're going to get your money back. That's my promise, that you're going to get your money back. Again, if you're looking for a partner, if this is a business plan to entice a partner to join you in the business, then you have to promise that partner something, right? So your promise might look like, I'll give you 100,000 shares in the company. I'll give you the title of vice president, and I'll give you a salary of $150,000 a year, right? Very clear of what your promise is. So with every ask, there's a promise. If it's a grant, then maybe you're going to reach so many, your promise is, if I get this grant, I'm going to reach so many young people in the city of Baltimore, and I'm going to teach them to have impact in their communities. And you're going to see the results in 24 months, right? That's your promise. And it needs to be based on something. You can say that why? Because I've done it before, right? Or I've done it on a smaller scale, or I've seen it done before. So you want to have that promise, but you need to back that promise up. Again, either you're going to refer to some data within your business plan, or you're going to refer to some past experiences, right? How do you know this can work? Because I've seen it done. It happened in, this area, in that area, because I've done it before, because the person that I'm asking to join me has done it before, right? So you need to back that up. And you can refer to that further into the business plan. You can refer to that further in the business plan. But in your executive summary, you're just stating what your promise is. All right, so any questions there on the promise as we head to the end of this? Nope, we're good. All right, so that's the last section. Everybody's good? All right. So now we'll do a brief review. What we talked about today is the hook. All right, so how are you going to get people to read your business plan? We talked about the problem. So you must have a problem. The bigger the problem, the better. We talked about your solution. How will you solve the problem, and why is your solution the best one? We talked about the opportunity. What is the size of the market? You want to be very specific. What is the size of the opportunity? Maybe it's the number of people. Maybe it's the internet, right? How many people are on the internet and you're selling something on the internet? Maybe there's a number of young people in the city who need focus, and your business is to reach those people. Again, what's the opportunity? We talked about business model, B2B, B2C, C2C, C2B, those 4 traditional business models, and the business model canvas, and how you can quickly express how you create value for your customers, and why what makes you special or your team special. We talked about the need. What do you need to implement your solution, right? Or your ask, we called it. Do you need money? Do you need people? Do you need a partner? Do you need grants? Do you need a building? You need a place to work? Danielle shared with us earlier that she needs a place to work. So her plan might might be geared towards needing a place to work. Right? And then after your ask is your promise. What do you promise that if you get what you're asking for, you're going to do what? You know, if it's a loan, how are you going to pay it back? If it's a partnership, what are you going to offer that person for that partnership? If it's a grant, what are your deliverables going to be if somebody gives you that grant, right? Or that place to work, right? You're going to say something like, I'll be the best tenant you ever had, right? If you allow me to work out of this space, and I can guarantee that I'm going to pay you back because this is how I'm making money, right? And your business model will show that. So you just want to, this is it. This is our summary. Your executive summary should be about 2 pages, right? Some people tell you put your executive summary on 1 page. You know, if you do it right, you're never going to get it on 1 page. All right. So it should be 2 pages or more, not more than 4, maybe 3. So it needs to be brief, but it needs to say everything that needs to be said, and it needs to be compelling. Right? If you can't get them to get through your executive summary, they're never going to get through your business plan. So write it like you're writing a book. Make it as compelling as you can, and interesting as you can. So what matters is the market size. Again, you want to be very clear. The opportunity, the pain. Right? Every business should have a problem, and the bigger the problem, the better. The more pain, the better. Because if you're looking for, especially if you're looking for somebody to give you a loan or somebody to invest in your company, you know, everybody wants to see that you're solving a problem, that there's some pain. You know, people need to eat. We talked about that as an example, right? So if there's a lot of people who aren't eating, that's a huge pain. That's a huge problem. Somebody needs to solve that. You know, there's certain parts of every inner city that's a food desert, right? So if you want to build a supermarket, everybody wants to solve that problem, right? It's not so easy, but if you have a solution for that, there's a whole lot of people who would want to give you money or support or assistance to do something like that, because it's a huge problem and everybody understands it. That's the other thing, be clear and make it understandable to everybody. So if you're doing something very scientific, you know, break it down into understandable terms. Right, break it down into a language that people can understand. I talk to a lot of young people these days who are doing things in the gaming space and the very, very technical areas of the internet, and I have to tell them all the time, look, you need to break that down into something I can understand. I'm sure this is great and this is exciting, but I don't know what you're talking about. It's a language that I don't understand. So make sure it's clear and it's in a form. You know, you have to understand your market, right? Understand your audience. Write it for the audience that's going to be reading it, right? And then finally, I'm going to say to you, stay positive. So many people in their business plans, when they're doing, you know, you always got to express who your competition is, right? So they always say, well, they don't do this and they can't do this like I can. You know, nobody really wants to hear that. We want to hear what's great about you. If you notice, I didn't ask you in this summary to express anything about your competition, right? I want to know what's great about you. We can get into that later. If I want to know about your competition, I'm going to ask you. It's in there. You know, when you do a basic business plan, every template that you look at is going to ask you to describe who your competition is. There should be some kind of chart in your business plan to show all the things that you can do and all the things that they can't, and that's fine. But don't waste your time talking about what they can't do and what they don't do. Talk about what you can do, right? Keep it positive, and you'll be all right if you do that. So that's all I have. We're going to move on to questions. If anybody has any questions, anything that hasn't already been asked,
I have a question.
please.
Of course, Ann always got a question. Okay, so you just mentioned stay positive. Get that. Don't elaborate a lot on, say, the differences of you and your competition in a negative way. But
Right.
Is there a place like, okay, so we present the problem of what we want to solve, of course, the pain,
Yeah.
but of course there's going to be some begging of questions of challenges that might come up that you might face in your business
Sure.
planning. Do we get ahead of that and kind of answer that question? Or do we just
Absolutely.
We do.
No,
Okay.
absolutely. Again, in the confines of those 3 pages, you're trying to get your executive summary in, right? You can touch on it. You can elaborate later in the business plan, but you can touch on that, food is a problem. The barriers to putting a grocery store in some of these communities are this, and this. And if you look on page 22, I'll show you exactly how we're going to address that,
Okay.
right? So again, now you got them hooked, right? Now they're like, oh man, I got to go look on page 22.
I
right?
love it.
So, yeah, the whole thing is to get them through this, but also get them to read the rest of it.
Got it.
I have a question. So some people never get past the business plan to actually get to the work. And I think what I hear you saying is that in your executive summary, you should be able to speak to what you're doing. So is it putting the cart before the horse if you're starting your business before you actually do a business plan?
It is, but honestly, most people do that. I was on my 4th or 5th business before I ever did a business plan. And trust me, somebody told me from day one when I was a young man, look, first thing you need is a business plan. I said, yeah, all right. I got you. I was as hard, most entrepreneurs are hard-headed, right? I was very hard-headed. I thought I knew everything, right? So as a young man, I was 18 years old up in Philly. And somebody told me, you need to go see SCORE. And I went to see the older gentleman who told me, all right, well, here's a business plan template, get that done and get back to me. And I said, okay, I'll get that right back to you. And I went out and I started a business and just been running ever since, right? It was many years before I came back to when I decided that I needed to borrow money. And somebody at the bank said, hey, you need a business plan. I said, oh, I better do a business plan, right? So yes, it is putting the cart before the horse, but most people do it that way. It's not the right way, but it's how most people do it. When I tell, if my advice to people is do a business plan first, it's actually easier, especially if you have a mentor. Find yourself a mentor, do a business plan. Find somebody in that space that you want to be in, because they've made the same mistakes. The reason why I'm such a good counselor, and I can say that, is because I made a lot of mistakes, right? All those bonehead mistakes that I made over the 30 years that I've been doing this, I can share with people and say, hey, listen, don't do what I did. I can save you a whole lot of trouble. If you just do your business plan first, find yourself a good mentor in that space, you can save yourself a lot of headache. All right, so to answer your question, yes, it is putting the cart before the horse, but a lot of people do it.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, so there is a test. There's a test, always. So I need to know from each one of you, did you learn something today that you didn't know before you showed up today?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
So whoever wants to start, let me hear it.
Okay, I'll start with excitement. So I don't have any questions because I just took really, really good notes, and I feel like my questions will come from my executive summary. So my question is, when can I meet with you, number one? But number two, in reference to the things that I learned today, it really centers around that the canvas idea. When I started to already start sketching out what are our activities and what makes Unboxing Change special, I realized that it is truly our student impact pipeline, where we take them on by way of community service learning hours, like getting them to volunteer. Then we put them into internships with the hopes of actually getting to a place where we can hire them as employees or connect them with other employment opportunities. So through this today, I realized that, not only it's not that I need a location to work out of, I need a location for people to work out of as well. So it's a larger thought process, not just, how do I have an office space for me? No, how do I have a service learning center where students can come to volunteer, but then use that as an internship and then turn that into an employment opportunity in the future, almost like sprinkled with apprenticeship as well. So I learned a lot today. This was awesome. Thank you.
Man, that's great. That is awesome.
I learned about referencing in the executive summary, and when you said that, it put so much context of why you should write the executive summary last, because you're going to be able to say, hey, on page 10, because we only want it to be 12 pages, this is where I mentioned, some statistics about the market that I'm working in, or I elaborate on that. So now I understand why you said do that last, because you can put those reference points that make people want to flip to that page and really get into your business plan.
Exactly. And if you do it right, before they know it, they've read the whole thing, right? So if you start out with, I need to borrow $100,000, and if you look on page 3, I'll show you exactly why I need it and what I'm going to do with it, right? Then they flip to page 3, they come back, then in the next paragraph, you say on page 7, I'll show you how I'm addressing my market, and they looked at that, and before you know it, they've read the whole thing.
Mhm. That's good stuff. Good stuff. I'll tell you what I learned in the ask. I honestly did not know that in the business plan, executive summary, that people ask for more than just a loan. I always just thought the business plan for a banker was that they were asking for loans. I did not know that the ask could be for a business partner, a grant, all the other things that you said. I never thought that a banker would be reading it for such, but it makes perfect sense that that could be a part of the ask.
Yeah, and again, they don't just present business plans to bankers, right? People, that's people to people. If I wanted you to be my partner, I'd give you a business plan to try to convince you to be my partner, right? If I wanted you to invest in me, everybody knows Ann has a bunch of money, so I'm going to give my business plan to Ann so she can invest in my company.
Call it in,
right?
call it in, prophetically.
Right. So there's a lot of reasons to have a business plan. Although most of the time is to get a loan or to get money from someone.
Well, let me clarify understanding then. I get that. So that was another light bulb. Well, I knew you write a business plan for other people, but I thought when you were talking about the ask, do people ask bankers for other resource information, like a referral to a potential business partner or for grants or whatever?
No, see, that was specific to me. People ask me for those things, not necessarily a banker.
I got it. Okay.
People come to traditional bankers for money.
For just a loan.
For
Or
just
grant.
a loan too.
Would bankers know about grant opportunities too, though?
Absolutely. Banks have foundations. There's an M&T foundation. So we get requests for grants all the time.
I got it. Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
Yeah. But it's money related when you come to a banker.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I'm a former M&T Bank employee myself.
Okay.
They definitely,
All right, Lisa.
but they definitely come to you for lots of things that you wouldn't think they would come to you for also.
They do. They do. You're right.
Yeah. But I wanted to say the referencing for me was awesome because I never really, told somebody to do that when they're doing their plan. So that's very good advice. I think it's great. That way,
Yeah, the whole idea is to get them to read the rest of the plan.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know why I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you again.
Well, thanks, lady.
I appreciate your time. And I'm so glad that
You're
Dan
very welcome.
joined us and got a lot out of it. If we can help one person, that's all that matters.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yes, thank you.
I want to give a shout out, definitely. Well, first, Danielle, I want to give a shout out to you for joining. I said Danielle is a part of us because she is. She's a part of our Alliance group and she works with our host institution on a number of things. And she's a phenomenal businesswoman as well. So she's just.
Amen, Ann, thank you.
Yeah. I love business people that take advantage of everything, So
That's right.
so I want to give a shout out in that regard. I want to give a shout out to you, Lisa. It's awesome partnering with you. I mean, yes.
Thank
And
you.
I'm so glad that Jim kind of coaxed me into challenged me or shamed me into, hey, I'm doing presentations, so awesome. I love it. Certainly a shout out to Christina, who, is the Women's Business Center Baltimore Metro, our program assistant. She's very devoted and committed, and I love the work that she's doing. And Jim, you are a jewel, or Jim, I should say, Jim, you're a gem to our dinners, because you really, you confirm and affirm a lot of information that we know, because we've been in the business for a long time, but you bring some new things and interesting things, and the way you present it and your commitment and dedication to us is just astounding. And thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being
Thanks for having me.
So
Thank you for allowing me to do what I love doing.
Yes, yes. The next class we have with Jim, Danielle, is August 12th. And that is the in partnership with Ann, renegotiating leases, contracts, and deliverables.
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And Jim, I need to connect you with my personal physician. She wants to expand in Baltimore. She's in DC. She wants to open up a practice in Baltimore, and I had connected her with Boost to Business, the Boost program in Baltimore, but that's just for retail. And so
that's just retail.
Right. So I want to, because you said you had some people that you knew, and I think
Absolutely.
she's ready to go. So I'm gonna, oh my God, I'm gonna send you the information at some point today.
Send that to me, because again, I work with BDC,
Okay.
so they can help her find the location. But if she needs some funds for build out or for moving, then M&T can help her with that.
Okay, good. I'm gonna, let me write that down. I got to do that. She keeps me healthy. I want to keep her in business.
Right. We all need that.
Yes. And Danielle, I need to connect with you. I'm looking for, I think you're working with a group of people that can be subject matter experts that we can pay for some of their accounting services and some other things. So can we do that? Will you give me a call? You're so good.
Yes, I will.
But if I'll call you, please call me.
No, don't you worry about it. Would you prefer a call later this afternoon, or would you like something tomorrow?
Later this afternoon would be good at your convenience.
Absolutely. I'll give you a call. Thank you for thinking of me.
And Jim, we got to get you to do the Canvas one again. I know that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It was really good, and I would definitely like to attend that again.
Yes, that was very informative for me too, because I hadn't seen that yet. And
maybe we can do it.
Let's find some dates.
Okay. You can start recording if you'd like, Lisa, but maybe
shoot, I forgot about that.
I would love to do it this month if you